Hey, there we are. Yay. And we are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 293. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rett.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently monetize the channel, although a better way to support the channel would be head on over to craftcomputing.store, pick up one of our fancy new pint glasses, all laser etched and crap, and we'll give you a shout out if you say you ordered one. Let's see, we do obviously drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Someone said audio sounds super broke. Yeah, I saw I was clipping there for a second. Hopefully it's good now, so...
Yeah, you're pretty hot to me. I had to turn way down.
Okay, yeah, I knocked almost like 30% off of my gain, so that should be good. Which is funny because I recorded before the show and it was fine, but it did this exact same thing when I was interviewing Steve from Hardware Unboxed. I hit record and all of a sudden I clipped for like 3 minutes, and then it goes, "Oh wait, he was fine before," and then OBS just was like working again. So. I happened to look down at my meter, and it just clipped on me again. What the crap is going on? You'd think after 293 episodes I'd have figured this out by now. It's not like I don't have the right equipment, but
that's assuming that OBS is going to function normally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 293 times. You've done it great every time, but what about OBS?
Right. Well, I won't say I've done it, great 293. Maybe like 285. Like let's give me some slack there. Hey Rett, can the fans borrow your pool in this heat?
Heck yeah, come on over. Waiting for you guys.
Don't you have a website for signups?
I do, but that's for the homies.
That's right. You got to be on the in crowd to get access to that. Hey, Phil's Computer Lab is checking in. Hello, Phil. How's it going? Great to see you on the live show. B-Link, Minis Forum, and others will be very happy with today's news. Absolutely they will be. That was actually one of the first things that I thought of as well. And we'll jump into that news topic very shortly. But obviously on the show tonight, we've got Intel exiting the PC business, much as it's done for a lot of its other businesses over the last 10 or 12 years. They exited the motherboard business. They've exited a lot of bespoke or purpose-built product businesses, and now they are killing their NUC lineup. But what does that mean moving forward? Microsoft desperately wants you to pay for Windows in the cloud, introducing Windows as a service, or Windows 365, so you can blue screen in the cloud while your computer blue screens, yo. Let's see. Sony introduces the A6700 as a much-needed upgrade to their aging APS-C flagship camera, but is it good, and is it a good price? We'll dig into that. Anchor Brewing is closing their doors after 127 years, and whatever else we decide to talk about as the show goes along. So, thank you all for joining. Jeff, can I buy that Skull Canyon NUC you've got? No, I'm actually using that upstairs. That fancy 2-player desk that I built this last summer, something like that? That's actually my primary PC up there. Although it may be for sale eventually. Maybe once my studio's built. Although then I might need that computer more than ever. So we'll see. Yeah, the one with the AMD graphics, the Skull Canyon NUC, the 8809G, super cool computer. I absolutely love that thing. Even though it's It's definitely showing its age for like modern gaming titles and things like that, but it's just such a unique and weird box. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I wanted one of those since they were announced, and I finally found one at a price I was willing to pay, so that's why I have one. Anyway, how you doing, Rhett?
Doing pretty good.
You look pretty content out there, sitting poolside on us.
What can I say? Trying to catch some sun, enjoy the weather while I can before it gets too hot or too cold. California is about to have a heat dome, so just trying to be grateful.
That's right. Yeah. No, we've actually got a heat advisory, I guess, for 48 hours later this week. We're going to be hitting triple digits ourselves, which people go, triple digits, poor you. Yeah, try that with zero airflow. Oh, and also no rain for the last, I don't know, 2 months.
Yeah.
Every other state calls it drought. We just call it summer. It's a desert here. It doesn't rain, although it still stays green.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But hopefully we've skated by with some pretty temperate weather so far, so I hope it stays that way.
This is a summer like we got all the time in the 90s and early aughts. Like this was summer in Oregon. This was the summer that I grew up with. And man, I have missed it something desperately.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to like go outside without like the complete temperature shock,
Right. Yeah, because we just don't. We're pretty temperate here in Oregon. Like our winters don't get too cold. We do get snow, but it's not like insanely cold temperatures. We're not talking single digits. We're talking when we get snow, even in the mountains, it's like 18, 22 degrees most of the time during the winter. Sometimes at night we'll dip down to single digits, and I've certainly experienced single digits in my life. But and I've seen a couple negative temperatures on the thermometer, but that was like I can remember the day that happened. We're not like Minnesota in the winter here.
Yeah.
But then in the summer, we're also fairly temperate. Like 85, I think, is our global average temperature for August. That's our average high. By the way, we still get down to like 55 at night. This is why everyone in California and Texas loves to move to Oregon, because we trap them here for the summer. But then we bombard them with 9 months of solid rain for every other season. Lull them into that false sense of security. Oh, it's really nice here during the summer.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the trick.
Yep. Slow Hardware sends over 5 Kiwi bucks. Thank you very much. Do you think Sapphire Rapids chips will drop in price soon? I want to replace my X99 system with a newer HEDT platform. Not maybe. My first instinct is no, because I just don't think they're going to drop in price. My thought is maybe because eventually either Intel or AMD, one of them will blink. Right now they're in kind of a showdown mode of their workstation PCs, and there's been this growing divide between high-end desktop and consumer, because now the high-end desktops have 96 and 128 PCI Express lanes, and the consumers are getting less. They're getting like 20 and 24. And so there's a whole population of people who are going, I just need like 2 16X slots or a couple of 16s and a couple of NVMEs. Like, can we get that at least without having to spend $1,000 on a 6-core CPU? Like, that would be swell. And so far, AMD and Intel are just enjoying the margins when it comes to that crowd, because there's nothing else that can, satiate those needs. Eventually, one of them is going to start valuing quantity over margin, and and then we'll get into a price battle that should be existing right now. But either that, or we'll all get a $20 settlement for price fixing, 15 years from now, for if you bought a Sapphire Rapids with HBM workstation or a AMD 9000 series Threadripper, you'll get $25 and a pat on the back and a promise that we'll never do that again. Probably not.
Only their promises were any good.
Yeah. Yep.
What are you drinking over there?
I started a little early, non-alcoholic. I've got a... I've been really digging this place from down in Eugene. It's Zentopia. This is their Zen Boost yerba mate tea. 150 milligrams of caffeine and 50 milligrams of CBD. And
nice.
It's delicious. Like, it is just straight up good. I love a good tea, especially a good cold tea on summer days.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also a huge iced coffee guy. But no, this has been hitting the spot for the last couple of days for me. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take that. Go ahead and pour myself a beer.
Yeah. So
Benedictine Brewery, Black Habit.
Oh, there you go.
Dark ale. So I've got a big old bomber here. I'm not gonna be able to finish it. It's pretty dark, pretty rich, pretty potent. I think it sits right around. Yeah, 7.5%. So it's a pretty beautiful bottle.
Yes.
They make a couple good ones over there in Mount Angel, Oregon. And God, yeah, love this one. Dark, rich, and bold.
I just realized I forgot to grab my beer, so you'll excuse me for like 20 seconds here.
No problem. Yeah, I thought for sure you were like maybe just gonna drink your tea, but here we are. Welcome to Rett's poolside stream today. We're gonna be drinking some beer. Yeah, what's fun about Benedictine Brewery, if you guys don't know, is that they are a legitimate abbey of Benedictine monks, and they brew beer. It's something they started a few years ago, maybe less than 10 years ago. Trying to see if there's a date when they were established, but you know, the monks traditionally had sort of sustained themselves and made a living brewing beer, and they're kind of returning to their roots, or at least that's the idea. So if you guys ever get a chance to have a really great tasting room out there up by the monastery in Mount Angel.
Someone immediately said, Rett, talk about Morrowind. Because I stepped away. And then Andy says, did the 50 milligrams of CBD cancel out the 50 milligrams of caffeine? No, that's not how... hesitate to call it drugs, but that's not how stimulants and depressants...
Those chemicals.
That's not how chemicals work. No, they both have different effects. And sometimes one effect will win out over the other when it comes to affected things. But no, it's not like eliminating the 50 milligram of CBD, because CBD is not exactly a depressant. So
the receptor, well, yeah, you know, I mean, I guess it all depends, you know, because your body makes your own cannabinoids,
right? And
the receptors for other cannabinoids are completely different than the receptors that you have in your brain for caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
They do. So yeah, I don't really see that happening at all, but
yeah. No, why do I really love drinking this stuff? As a chronic migraine sufferer, this stuff is better than Excedrin. like I'll get a headache anymore, and I'll just have one of these instead of popping 3 Excedrin and trying to sleep through it. And like 30 minutes later, I'm going, you know what? It's not so bad.
Yeah. 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 Do you ever try to? I mean, Excedrin has caffeine in it, so
yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if you ever try to take do you ever try to consume other types of caffeine when you have a migraine?
Yes.
Yeah. That's like one of the go-tos for me. Yeah, like when I was in high school, it was so like I could drink like a freaking Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
If I drink a liter of Coca-Cola as a migraine was coming on, and it would like really help mitigate it. It was so wild.
Yes.
I'd still get it, but
yep. Yeah.
Now I realize sugar is one of my main triggers. So,
oof, yeah. No, with me, it's pressure changes, like weather pressure changes, weather fronts moving through. I'm the old guy who can go, I can feel it in my knees. There's a storm a-coming. Me, it's like, no, my left eye is twitching all of a sudden. It's going to rain here in about 2 hours. But yeah, no, since I started doing CBD regularly, my migraines have plummeted in frequency and intensity both. So, but like all things, your results may vary. I'm a guy who gets out of a 30-day month. At points, I was seeing between 20 and 22 days with migraine symptoms. So that was always fun. Stress also can induce migraines in me. So, high stress situations and things like that. I often after the fact, I will get a migraine. Like if I've usually in the moment, I'm pretty good. But, if I've gotten through like a massive project or something like that, all right, cool, I'm going to hit publish on this video, or, I'm going to, sign the last check of this thing, or sign off the last item of detail from this, multi-million-dollar project I was working on. The next day it's like, yeah, I'm not coming in today.
Yeah.
So.
That'll do it.
Yep. But yeah, anymore I'm down to between 3 and 4 days of symptoms per month, which is, let me tell you, a night and day difference. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's not even something I have to take regularly. It's just, maybe a gummy every couple of days, maybe just enough. And
supposedly aging plays a big role in reducing the frequency too, especially for men.
Well, mine started at age 6, so
yeah. Supposedly, as you get older, like by the time you're like geriatric, you supposedly won't have them anymore.
That's one theory. I have a couple of friends who they're entering their 50s and mid 50s, and they're going, I still get them like every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to avoid that fate. Anyway, I did bring some beer for today. Keeping it nice and light and also nice and local. In fact, all of my stuff tonight is from Eugene. I didn't even notice that when I when I started. So I've got a couple of Ninkasi brews in front of me. I've got the classic, the amazing, the intro to red ales that a lot of people need if they're like a super hop fan or something like that and they want to try something a little maltier. Dawn of the Red, 7%, Northwest Red Ale. It has just the right mix of Northwest hops and that English style brown or red malt that's just perfectly rounded. Super good. I'm going to start with that.
Speaking of hoppy, I've got my hops right here.
Oh, there you go.
Right next to me. It's like the only thing that provides shade out here sometimes.
Yep. So,
ooh, love that color.
There's our pint glass, and I don't know if you can see the nucleation in action, but there's a good little vortex right in the center of this thing.
Available at craftcomputing.store.
That's right. The glasses work. This is getting weird, Jeff. Why? Why is this getting weird?
What's getting weird?
What's getting weird? Let's see. Cool. LOL herb heavy for Jeff tonight. I smoke enough to sedate a Rido daily. I do have some CBD flower, so it's 0.3% or less THC, certified, lab tested, but 28% CBD, and I will smoke that from time to time. That's usually if I have a migraine or I'm trying to stave one off. I need something and I need it quick, and that's the best way to go. So, and 9 out of 10 times that stops any migraine I'm getting dead in its tracks. So, but hey, this is not a health advice channel, and this has not been medical advice. We are not experts in our field. I just drink beer and talk about it online. So take that for what
the beer
it's worth.
Should be a dead giveaway that we're never giving advice.
Right. You know what I think, Rett?
Let's hear it, Jeff. Oh, great. Another podcaster.
Boy.
What's he an expert on today?
Yeah. RTX 4060, as it turns out.
The internet agrees, Jeff.
Yeah. Do a dab? I don't dab in any sense of that phrase.
Oh, here, I got you, bro.
God.
I'm here for you.
My wife and I have been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. And my character of choice on there is Iggy. But when you choose Iggy, one of his rivals is Ludwig. So we're talking about Koopa's kids at this point. And, one of the 8 kids. And whenever I play, Ludwig always wants to be in first. And we've both learned to hate Ludwig with a fiery passion. And it only cemented the fact in that we hate him, because when he wins, he will dab. Just can't have that in our house.
I love that.
Elmo says, Jeff the Wise, Jeff the Magnificent, please, it's just plain Jeff. Craft computing the pint glass. Pint computing.
Pint computing.
Pint computing, there we go. It's basically what this show is. Has anyone besides Hardware Unboxed said or messaged you about your review of the 4060? Paul's Hardware made a comment on the video that said, I didn't even review the 4060. So there is that. Haven't talked to anyone really else about it. And I think the reason being is there's a lot of outrage trying to get my camera to focus in a little more. There was a lot of outrage from commenters in that video because I called out their favorite YouTuber, or said their favorite YouTuber is wrong. And I will reiterate, I did say wrong in the title, kind of as a clickbait way to assert that I had an opinion that might be different. I spent the first 4 minutes of that video saying they're not wrong, but are they giving the entire picture to someone who may be purchasing a lower end graphics card? Are they testing on a lower end system? If someone is targeting a frame rate rather than a budget, are they answering that question? And so there's a lot of different ways to test graphics cards. And can you imagine, and I've talked about this a couple of times related to like car reviews and things like that. Imagine if we tested every other product from every other industry the way that we test graphics cards today, where everything is meticulously charted and documented and compared against each other. And I know they don't directly compare the RTX 4090 to the RTX 4060. I understand that. But when those graphics cards are on the chart, your eyes are going to go up there. And even if you don't mention them, you are comparing them. And that was part of my point. Also, if you don't test some of the lower settings, and everything just becomes about straight up frame per dollar. Is frame rate the only consideration when purchasing a graphics card? Or maybe it's fan noise, maybe it's power draw, maybe it's temperature inside of your case, maybe it's power connectors, maybe it's physical size. There are so many other aspects to graphics cards that we can subjectively measure. Why is frame rate the only measure that is acceptable? Yeah.
And I was thinking about this when I was watching Hardware Unboxed on the channel. It's like I do think it's almost it's sort of the market dictating itself. It's like how many people are engaging and commenting on YouTube videos. What are the types of person that are doing that most often? And when all of these big YouTubers go and do their reviews, they're getting the most engagement on the stuff that is doing exactly what we're talking about.
That is vitriolic. I will say, Hardware Unboxed put out a video earlier today that said exactly what I said. Every review for the last 2 years has been, this new part is absolute crap.
Yeah.
And those videos get views. And he made a joke about, why did we review everything like that? Well, it's for the clicks, which I found hilarious. But again, if everything is crap, then maybe you need to reevaluate the way you're reviewing, or reevaluate your opinion. Because one of the things that Steve and I found out once we sat down and we talked through this is we came up with the same exact differential in performance between the RX 7600 and the RTX 4060. We had wildly different opinions about them because I didn't really care if it's only 11% faster than a 3060. I didn't. I flat out don't care. And that's going to sound sacrilege until you hear the rest of that statement. What price did the RTX 3060 launch at? It was $379, I believe, with the 3060 Ti costing well above that, costing $450. But here's a $299 card that is now launched, that is faster, uses 2/3 of the power, but the only reason it's a crap value is because the 3060 still exists and they cut it to below the price of the 4060 to get rid of it.
Yeah. I swear to God, I've never heard the phrase new old stock more than just combing the comments on that video.
If that was, if the 3060 stayed at the same price, the 4060 would be a godsend to performance. So you can't call it a bad card because it still performed magnificently well in gaming. There were a couple of situations where it performed slightly worse. In Steve's exact testing, it was 6 out of 40 games performed 5% worse than the 3060 because of its smaller memory bus. Because those games that really press or push the limits of the memory buffer suffered in performance slightly. But it's not an awful performing card. And at high settings, I got an average of 96 FPS at 1440p. If you're a budget gamer, are you at all going to be disappointed with that performance? If you're a budget gamer and you bought that card, do you give a flying how much slower or faster it is than an RTX 3060 or a 6700 XT or this or that? Do you even care at that point? Or are you just going to sit down and play the games? Because we can stress over value, but value is a constantly changing metric based on the current price, and especially with new old stock, constantly changing value. If they take $30 off the 4060, it's now not so bad. It now looks actually pretty darn good compared to even the 3060 at the same price because it's 11% faster and uses 2/3 the power. Oh, but it has the 128-bit memory bus, and but they did this with it. It's still 11% faster. And if $30 is your justification for this card should never exist, or this card is the best thing since sliced bread, and by the way, there can't be any in between in reviews anymore because you have to give a black and white statement of you should buy this or this company hates you.
Well, it's funny. How often, though, does the $30 go the other way?
Right.
And when people are talking about it, they're like, well, why wouldn't you just spend the extra $30 and do this instead? And it's like, I'm sorry, we're talking about the scenario where somebody can't afford that.
Right.
I don't know. So it's just funny that, like, given the opportunity to like reverse that idea completely, it's like, well, this other card's out.
But also one of the things from my interview with Steve was I asked him directly, if you're not shopping based on price, if you're shopping based on the performance I want out of this card, and I say I want to run Hogwarts at 120 FPS, which card do you recommend? And he goes, well, you really can't take our frame rate metrics and get that result. And I said, well, actually, because frame rate is the only metric that you present for your justification of value or not, I'm looking at your chart for Hogwarts and I'm seeing, 56 FPS here. But if I want 120 FPS, I've got to get a 6800 XT, 6900 XT, 7900 XT, 4070 Ti. I've got to spend $800. What gamer is going to do that? And because that's the only metric that you're presenting, that's the answer that you're giving. Versus if you test on like budget hardware, you test at realistic real world settings, and you tell them, hey, here's the compromise that it makes visually versus ultra quality. But turn on FSR 2.0, turn on sub rendering, turn on this, turn on that. And boom, your $300 card is now capable of 120 FPS in an $800 system.
Yeah.
I don't...
Yeah, it's funny, you know, and I talked about this
Yeah.
with some other people in the video, it's in the comments and stuff. It's just like, you know, like, for example, like if I'm shopping around for like music hardware, music gear, if I want to buy some guitar effects pedal or something like that, like what I hate is when I go onto a YouTube channel and I'm watching them play a $3,500 guitar playing their $40 effects pedal into a freaking $5,000, you know, half stack amp. Like that's not even remotely close to what I'm going to be doing.
You can only do that if you're Ed Sheeran and looking for the exact tone and quality that you want out of that.
Right. And I think it's like, you know, shoot, the guitar and the amp are just going to change. I just want to know what this $40 piece of crap pedal sounds like in the scenario that I'm going to use it in. Mm-hmm. Run it through a ringer of cheap guitars, and then I can have a better idea. But I don't know. The one big takeaway I had watching Steve was, it's like I've never been more sure that there is a place for multiple review styles, and I just wish that like the average YouTube viewer would be on board and okay with that. Go watch Hardware Unboxed if you want the numbers the way that he delivers them. Mm-hmm. But there should be room for other YouTubers to present other ideas, other testing methodologies.
Mm-hmm. To say it's the only answer,
right,
is garbage.
And that's the thing I just can't wrap my head around. It's just like, nobody is saying that Steve is necessarily wrong, you know, other than your thumbnail. But
yeah, that's the only part that I said people were wrong. And Steve's only rebuttal to the thing that he didn't like about my video was he said that I claimed they compare the 4090 and 4080 to the 4060. And he goes, we absolutely do not do that. But I mentioned, hey, on your charts is the 7900 XT and the 4070 Ti. And he goes, well, that's just there for reference. And I went, but it is there.
Yeah, and that is a comparison.
Like, it is a comparison, whether you reference it or not. It's on the chart. And I actually, in the interview, put in a graphic that says, hey, look, the differences don't look that bad if you zoom in to the sub $400 cards, right? But all of a sudden, you've got this card that is literally 3 times the performance that's skewing every visual metric that you're trying to present.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't do that. Unless you are trying to do every card top to bottom. But if this is a $300 budget, review the $300 budget.
And that kind of ends up being the funny thing about any sort of dive into specs and numbers and things like this, is that you can really present things in a way to get whatever you want out of the narrative. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's why it's important that he does his thing and you do your thing. Right. But other people should also be allowed to differ from those things without it being an event, you know? Like, there are fields where we value as much data as possible, you know?
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine why people have an issue looking at a different methodology. It's stupid.
If I can say, and this is probably going to be the one time I call someone out, it's because Gamers Nexus has pushed the narrative to say this is the only way to benchmark anything.
Yeah, on Gamers Nexus it is.
Right, and if that's their methodology,
you want to have
fine.
A job there, then that's what you do.
But if you preach vitriol and hatred, I can't wait for Gamers Nexus to rip them a new one. Like, that is kind of the fan base that he's cultivated, in my opinion. And it's not a shock to me when those fans turn into vitriol and hatred of anything else and any dissenting opinion, because literally Tech Jesus didn't say that. So the content works for him. And again, I respect the absolute hell out of Gamers Nexus's content and their testing methodology and everything that goes into it. But when everything is crap, when every single review you say this product is hot garbage because of where it's priced, maybe reevaluate where you're placing your value on all of these things, because maybe we're not going to get the results that we want as reviewers anymore. And maybe we need to present realistic expectations to consumers who are actually going to be buying these things. That was the basis of the video. So
there you go. There you go.
But no, I'm just an NVIDIA shill, even though I gave the RX 7600 fair and equal due and recommended it just as highly as the 4060 within a $20 price point and a 7% differential in performance. No one's calling me an AMD shill. I said the 750 ARC was probably a fantastic value, sitting right there at $260 as well. No one's calling me an Intel shill. No, it's because I titled it, I'm testing a 4060. Suddenly I'm an NVIDIA shill and I'm on their payroll. I will publish my bank statements, which is something we've been asking presidents to do forever, to show you who exactly pays me and who doesn't. And I can promise you, NVIDIA doesn't even know I'm alive, let alone care what my opinion is.
Yeah, I mean...
But we did exactly what I didn't want to do, and that's spend another 20 minutes on this topic.
Well, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm an enabler. You know this about me.
As soon as you address it, I went, oh, crap, here we go. So Slow Hardware sends over another five Kiwi bucks. Thank you very much. He asked a question earlier and I answered in chat. Is the 7980XE, that is Intel's 18-core high-end 2066 chip, their X299 platform, is it as good as the 10980XE, or is it worse the price difference, or what? And my answer was it's only around 7% faster in multi-threaded, speaking to the 10980XE, and basically equal in single-threaded performance based on metrics that I've seen. And so if it was me, I'd save the $400 and get the 7th gen versus the 10th gen, because they're basically the same thing. So he sends over another $5. Thank you. I want to stay HEDT. Do you think the 3090 will be bottlenecked on a 4.7 gigahertz 6950X i7, or should I go X299? If you're gaming at 4K or 1440p, no. Maybe minimally at 1440p, but bottleneck is such a strong word, and there's so much power in the RTX 3090. No, you're going to be fine. Like, if you're gaming at 1080p, number one, what the hell are you doing on an X99 platform still? Or if you're thinking about an RTX 3090, what are you doing at 1080p still? But I don't think, honestly, it's worth the upgrade from X99 to X299. There's some performance gains to be had, but if you're already on a 6950X, you're going to gain, 6 cores in multi-thread and maybe 5% in single-threaded performance, and that's literally the top of the 299 market. So, no, if I were you, rock a 3090, spend your money on a $400 4K monitor that'll do 144 hertz, and rock that thing till the end of time, because it'll still perform. So that's my recommendation. Cool. All right, now that we're 40 minutes into the show, what do you say we get to some actual news here?
No, I want to go back to talking about this. No.
I will push you into your pool.
No, everything is connected to me.
So the first article that I saw with this was actually Serve the Home. So Patrick Kennedy over at Serve the Home. Go check out his website, link in the video description to this particular article. But Intel announced earlier today that, or late last night, I think, that they are going to be pulling out of their NUC business. The NUC, the next unit of computing, also known as Intel's tiny little cubes that they've been producing, gosh, for 11 or 12 years now. They started back on Sandy Bridge. Or no, they started on Ivy Bridge with the 3317U, I think was the most popular and common one. What does this mean for the future of these microcomputers that a lot of people have really latched onto and definitely have a fan base both in business and in consumer spaces? The NUC, hugely popular because it strips down a computer to what all you need a computer to be. It's a CPU, it's a couple of USB ports, it's some video output, it's super low power. You can mount this to the back of a monitor on a VESA port or on a VESA mounting plate. In fact, most NUCs included a VESA mounting plate, so you can just screw it right onto the back of a monitor, have essentially an all-in-one PC. Very, very cool. I've deployed quite literally thousands of NUCs over the years. But much like Intel ending their motherboard business back in, I want to say it was 2014, and then exiting their server business, was that earlier this year, maybe sometime like 2021, where they're no longer producing reference server designs or selling servers to end users, customers anymore. Intel is going to be exiting the NUC business. Now, this does not state that they are going to be exiting the low-volt CPU business that powers the Intel NUC. In fact, there are plenty of other companies that have come out as... oh, gosh. Phil, thank you. Phil, as Phil's Computer Lab mentioned at the beginning of this video. B-Link, Minis Forum, just to name a couple. You could also look at Zima Board, at Gowin, the R86S people. There are plenty of third-party OEMs ready to take that mantle and run with it. Zotac, for years, has produced NUC-style PCs, even going further to like cut them in half and have like little boxes about like this that have full i3 or i5 CPUs in them. They've also gone as far up as putting like, mobile i9s and Xeon processors into, super tiny packages like this, not just based off, laptop i3, i5, i9 CPUs. Gigabyte has also done stuff with the Gigabyte Bricks lineup of things. So there are a ton of OEMs out there that are going to continue this style of PC. It's just Intel won't be making them directly anymore. And when Intel exited the motherboard market, no one really noticed. When Intel exited the server market, no one really noticed, because Intel doesn't really make PCs. They don't really make laptops. They don't really make servers. They make the crap that powers them. And so why are they devoting so much time, research, development, energy, money into producing consumer products when there's other companies that's all they do is create the consumer products out of Intel CPU designs? Why not just let them continue that and cut off quite literally this little bit of dead weight out of the business? Some people are going to be sad to see the NUC go. I'm one of them. Like I said, I've deployed quite literally thousands of NUC CPUs or NUC computers over the years, as well as from other manufacturers, like I mentioned, all of those others. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone is truly going to notice Intel leaving this market, because there's already so many other players in there using Intel or AMD chips to power identical devices.
Rip.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm calling it. I think this is the death knell of Intel.
Yep. This is how they go under.
This is just the rats fleeing the ship, Jeff. I give it less than 100 years.
Not with a bang, but like a thief in the night.
That's a hair metal song right there, I swear.
Gosh, that is so many references tied into one. Because I went full up. There was a Star Wars reference in there. This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. Not with a bang, but with I forget where that specific reference is from, but it's some other thing obscure. A thief in the night is actually from Revelation in the Bible about like you'll never notice the second coming. So like, yeah, I got everything in that one phrase. So
yeah. I mean, if you got the Bible in it, man, then you got everything.
I got Star Wars and the Bible in a single quote.
That's not hard, though. That's not hard.
It's really not.
Once you have the Bible, you could get almost any other movie. Probably multiple movies.
There are only ever two: the Father, the Son. No crap. I apologize for that joke.
How dare you?
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 3 of them. What's replacing NUC? Nothing. But you're not going to notice the NUC is gone either, because there are so many other companies that are producing such high quality mini PCs out there. Minis Forum, B-Link, Gigabyte, Zotac, just to name a couple off the top of my head. So Raspberry Pi does most of what a NUC does. Yes, and also at the same time hugely no, because as much as I love the Raspberry Pi, and by the way, I'm so thankful that Raspberry Pi stock is coming back into some semblance of okay. So one of my most popular videos this year was on the Zima board. Stop buying Raspberry Pis. And again, people taking the title and just running with it. What do you mean the Raspberry Pi is dead? Blah, 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 blah. I meant for home server usage. If you're buying a Raspberry Pi to be a Pi hole, don't spend $130.
What did you call me?
You heard me. Don't spend $130 on a Raspberry Pi 4 and then all of the accessories to kit it out. You know, a case, a heatsink, a PoE injector, storage, an NVMe drive, everything, and end up spending like $200 on a device to run a Pi hole. Go buy a Zima board if your aspirations are home server and home lab, because the Pi is a terrible value for that. At $50, the Pi is an amazing value, especially with the price of SD cards coming down so far, especially with some of the kits that you can buy now, or some of the accessories that you need to run a very efficient home lab. You know, a little, $20 5-port PoE switch, and then some $7 PoE injectors for each Pi. You can run them without USB-C, just run an Ethernet cable and they run off power. Get a little cluster up and running. Like, they are really incredible. But if you're going to spend $200 on a Pi, you're stupid if it's for home server use. That was the point of that video. For maker projects, for SBC robotics, GPIO projects, etc., there's still no beating the Pi, even at $200. Words have meaning, and there's nuance to phrases. Like, please try to keep up.
Yeah,
it is exhausting.
Like, I see like what Ian Cuttress has gone off and done with his like newsletter and everything, and you look at the type of person that's always kept up with Ian's work over the years, and you look at the average type of person that keeps up with YouTube, and it's just like, I wonder how well his newsletter does compared to like YouTube content. And I know his newsletter does pretty well for itself, but it's like you get a certain type of audience member who's willing to jump onto your Substack and read your words and interact with your brain that way, rather than just like, please inject words to brain, make stupid no more.
Right.
Is that my take on the average YouTube viewer? Well, you be the judge, talking to you guys at home.
Skull said I said Raspberry Pi 3 times and Jeff Geerling appeared, and so he did. Or as I like to call him, Thomas Geerling, because obviously he's a transporter clone and there can't be 2 of us. So.
Oh yeah, I remember when you launched that Zima board video, and he was like, "Hey, don't listen to him."
I do one thing around here.
I think you came around to the wrong part of town there, Mr. Craft Computing. You stay on your side of the tracks. I'll stay on mine.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show, Jeff. And actually, Gearling and I have a couple of different things that we're going to be involved in at LTX here in just a couple of weeks. So we're looking at a home lab forum, a home lab panel. I think we're still looking for an exact time that's going to happen, but we're going to get like me, Wendell, Ian, and Gearling, and I think Patrick Kennedy up on stage. And answer any and all home lab questions. And that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. There's also a charity live stream that's going on between Crosstalk Solutions and Jeff Gearling. And I'm going to be, I guess, in a 10-minute interview during that. So you've got multiple interactions with like all of us happening all of the time. Super exciting. Going to be a lot of fun. So, can't wait to finally meet Jeff in person, because that's going to be fun. Yeah. I don't know, Rett, if you saw my tweet. I know you're taking the train up there, right?
That was the idea, yeah.
Yeah. So I made a tweet a little while ago that we were planning our trip, because we're just going to drive up there, because we're in the north part of Oregon. There's no reason to book a flight, especially because I'm bringing my whole family up. So it's me, the wife, 3 kids. It's like, we're just going to drive the van. That just seems way easier than anything else. So I looked up directions to our hotel. And it was literally get on I-5 North, which is about 4 turns from my house.
Yep.
Continue straight on I-5 North for 324 miles, which places you squarely into Canada. Like it says, during your trip on I-5 North, you will cross the Canadian border. It then says, I-5 North becomes BC 99. Continue on BC 99 for 24 miles.
Just takes you right into downtown.
Takes you right into downtown, and then it says, take this exit, turn right, turn left, you've arrived at your destination. So there's like 7 turns between me and where we're going in Canada.
Oh, the train station comes out right downtown too, just a few blocks from the convention center.
Yeah.
And the train station is just right downtown Salem, so it's like,
yeah. Gearling says panel time is on the schedule now. It's on Sunday. Sweet. Also, I've got a meet and greet, I believe, at 3:15 p.m. on Sunday. So I've got a 45-minute block where I'll be sitting at a booth. And if you want to come up, shake hands, ask questions, whatever else, I'm doing a fan meet and greet on Sunday. So Sunday appears to be my busy day there. Saturday, I just get to walk around and throw cases, I hear.
Kiss babies.
Yeah.
What are they doing, like case shuffleboard or something?
Yeah. And Gearling says, wait, Rett is going too? Are you confirmed as going? I can't remember. Not to put you on the spot.
That was the idea. We might need to talk about it a little bit more, but...
we might have an extra... If you're just going to go up solo, we might have an extra, like, car seat. Like, you could just...
Well, the train ticket's already purchased. That's not the hard part.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Okay, then.
Yeah, let's talk more about it after the show, because, like, I have arrangements and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of timing. So
yeah,
it's not out of the question.
Yeah,
it's been on the books for months now.
Yeah, this happens to coincide with Rhett's 10-year wedding anniversary, and I told him to blow it off.
Yeah, it's true. It's like I would go and leave the country, go and visit Canada, have a good time, drive home, and then go and leave the country again. Because we're leaving the country for our 10th.
Right, yeah,
That's the part missing from the story.
I thought you should have just left it there and been like, no, I have to leave now.
I am fleeing.
She will find me.
I missed the 10-year. I have to go.
Rhett sitting in a car seat is a weird mental image. Oh, let's get you all buckled up.
No, well, Jeff has a full-grown one.
I
do.
It's
not that weird.
Right.
I mean... I won't be able to move my hands or feet, but
right. It's really frustrating traveling with Rhett. If you go about more than 2 hours, he gets all fussy.
Gotta stop and change me and water me.
That's the worst.
What are you gonna do?
Yep. Well, it's time to open a second beer. Also from Ninkasi, Tricera hops. Their double IPA.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. Their tasting notes is floral, citrus, and resin. Not 3D printing resin. So, thankfully.
Tricera hops is good.
I love this glass.
It's one of the classic IPAs of the Northwest that sort of survived the initial IPA gold rush.
I agree. Yes.
And it's because it's always been pretty good. And it was always kind of one of those ones where, you know, if you remember the early days of sort of the craft beer scene in Oregon, not the early days, but the early days of like the gold rush, it was like they would rush in and make more and more hoppy IPAs, more and more hoppy IPAs. And like Tricera hops is like that thing. It was like, this is our hoppy IPA. But it was good. It had character. It wasn't just hops, you know?
Yeah.
And so a lot of these ones that came out of the Northwest, they withered and died. Tricera hops is still a staple to this day.
What's my opinion on Tricera hops is they gave it a name too early. Because if you know Ninkasi and if you know their entire beer lineup top to bottom, they have a semi-annual or biennial beer that they make called Megalodon. Megalodon is their 10% triple IPA. Why is Tricera hops not their triple IPA? That's what I want to know.
That makes sense.
Right?
They
ball. Totally dropped the ball by giving Tricera hops the double. and Megalodon, which is the prehistoric shark, that's their triple IPA. Nope, they got it backwards.
Well, you know what? I wonder if they have a reason for that. There's got to be a reason. Feels backwards to us, but then maybe they'll blow our minds a little bit.
Right. And gosh darn it, my camera keeps going out of focus. I was going to try to let it autofocus, and then it kept going elsewhere.
It keeps wanting to go behind you.
I don't know if the lighting is just a little too uniform on my face. I will say, since I went on vacation, I got a very good tan. And with the lighting now, I have no distinguishable colors in my face.
Is that what that is? It almost looked like it might have been a sunburn at one point.
Oh, it was totally a sunburn at one point.
So you're one of those sunburn and then color people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
Yeah. No, I am the you burn once. So you get a nice light, super light sunburn at the beginning of summer, and you just get darker the rest of the year. And that's kind of what I do. I will rarely burn a second time. And so we had a volleyball meetup with a bunch of friends for 4th of July, and the weekend before that we were camping. And so by camping, I mean I was sitting on the beach in a hammock drinking beer for 5 days straight, and it was amazing.
It looked like by the stream that I was going to take a shot. I want to see if I was right. It looked like in the stream you guys were in Nesquin.
You're close, but not close enough.
Darn it.
Okay.
I was just basing it off of the campground you guys were in. I thought I recognized it, but
let me see how far you were off by. Cause Nesquin is just south of Lincoln City, right?
Just north. It's
north.
Right before you get into it.
No, yeah. I was on the other side of Tillamook.
Oh, okay. So you were north.
I was north. Yes.
Okay, but Tillamook's still far away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. That's right. So yeah, no, I was considerably further north than you think. Because Lincoln
just took a shot.
Lincoln City's almost dead center, maybe just north center of the Oregon coast. I was 20 miles from Washington. So.
Okay, you're pretty far away.
Yeah.
Pretty far. Well, there you have it.
Wait, other Jeff plays volleyball too? I'm 6'4". It doesn't take that much effort. Just for fun, I played and coached volleyball until kids were old enough and I couldn't swing it.
Oh, that's fun.
Never played officially league or anything like that. I'm decent enough. I know how to serve, know how to score, pretty decent at playing volleyball. But my sister actually did play in college, so that's a lot of fun when she comes out and games with us. So
we invented this game in cross country called Frisbee volleyball, and it's best played on the beach, a sand court, right? And it's just volleyball rules, except you play with a Frisbee, and instead of hitting the Frisbee, you catch it, and then you have to immediately send it back over the net. You might have like one pass to a teammate you can do. The idea is you just send it back across the net. Any means you could throw it up so that it arcs back down. You could jump and like try to spike it down. My go-to move is you have it, like this, and you kind of throw it so it does like one of these types of situations.
Yeah.
And it goes super wonky, so it goes right down. That game is so addicting. Any chance I get to play on a sand court, that's what we're playing.
LTX volleyball 2v2 meetup. I'm in. If we can find a volleyball court at LTX, let's do it.
No,
let's do it.
I hate to tell you this, but if I'm there, we're gonna go crush those people.
I know we are.
I got volleyball out in my blood.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our second story of the day. Microsoft wants you to pay for Windows, but from the cloud. And as Computer World says in their title for this article, which I could not agree with more, good luck with that. So this is a little bit more than your Office 365 subscription. This is a little bit more than application as a service, than email or Office Suite as a service. This is going full virtualized desktop as a service. And as a lot of you know, that's an industry that I have wanted to evolve for quite some time.
Yeah.
Computer World goes into a lot of, it's going to be Windows, but worse. And I don't know that I necessarily agree, but I don't know that I can necessarily disagree with that statement either, because one of the biggest things holding up cloud desktop as a service deployments is local internet connections. You have to have a good enough internet connection for the service to seem seamless enough for me to buy into it and actually use it as an end user.
Who's the target consumer here? So it does say here it's it's for business. Maybe they want to offer it to consumers and very small businesses at some point, but that's not going to be right away.
Right.
So you can almost see. I'm not defending Microsoft here. I don't know why I'm speaking up about this, but
no, you asked. I think the quintessential question is, who is the consumer for this? Who is going to buy this service?
Because I could definitely see this being deployed in a place. Imagine Cubicle Land at the state of Oregon. You go into one of the offices where they have 3,000 employees. This almost makes sense. They're gonna have the bandwidth and the internet connection to do it. But I still think it's stupid. But I hate everything as a service. You and I have talked about this a lot. It's just like, why does everything have to be a service? Why can't I just have something anymore?
Yeah.
Especially I don't know if something as a service like this counts as digital scarcity, but it certainly feels like it, right. I don't know. I guess you couldn't necessarily say that about Netflix or whatever, but still it's stupid and I hate it. Have they talked about the cost of this yet? How much is it going to cost per license?
That is pretty much a closely guarded secret, because anyone who buys this is likely deploying multiple seats, and your seats are likely going to be negotiated based on the size of your organization, your number of user cals, etc. And that's pretty much how a lot of Microsoft licensing is done. It's all done. Okay, here's our general price, but you have 1,000 users. Tell you what, we'll give you the 800 user price, but we'll let you run 1,000, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. This is, I will say, this is not necessarily as bad as it sounds, especially from a business perspective, because since 2020 and everything that 2020 brought in, virtualized desktops, VDI instances, that's all kind of gone through the roof. You have video editors, you have CAD, engineers, you have this, you have that, you have people working on classified projects that, you would normally want them to VPN in from a laptop and then work locally on files. Why not just give them a VDI instance that's 100% internal to your organization, and then there's no exfiltration risk of data? There's so many companies going that direction because of work from home. That for businesses, especially businesses with reliable network connections, or who are willing to make sure their employees have good network connections from their home, this is not a bad solution. And it's something that, again, if you've watched any of my cloud gaming series, it's a technology that I've wanted to exist for a long time. Although I lean more towards I'd like to self-host it and have distributed nodes that I still own end to end, rather than leasing an instance from a cloud provider. But having a cloud provider with something like Azure as a backend, and you can dynamically scale performance to whatever the user is doing at that time, that's kind of the golden standard, or the pie in the sky that the pie in the cloud. That's how they do it on the enterprise, so finally catching up with the 24th century. So one thing we've done here that's worked really well for us is literally distributed video editing. So Rett still edits most of the videos from his house, whether it's desktop, laptop, whatever. You've edited him from vacation before. I did the final edit pass on the infamous 4060 review from a Starlink connection with a GPD WinMax 2 in a hammock from my campsite. Did I edit it on the WinMax 2? Hell no. I edited it on my 13900K with an RTX 3090 attached to it.
Yep.
But even with a 10-inch screen, it was a little difficult to do that. But it was totally reasonable and totally worked. And I was maybe 10% slower than doing it at the PC itself, just based on hardware limitations of I have a trackpad that's about this big on top of my keyboard and a 10-inch screen that I'm looking at. Other than that, there were no problems with editing that video.
No, it was seamless. We got that done pretty quick. Because I got a little bit of a late start, and I think I started it like that morning, and you wrapped it up that evening.
Yeah.
And it's just like we both did it remotely.
Yeah, because I finished filming that video on Wednesday morning, Wednesday at 4 a.m. And that's when I finished shooting the video. I went and got a couple hours of shut-eye, and I passed it off to Rett. Rett did the majority of the edit. I didn't do sorry. Crap. It was Thursday, because I stayed up all night Wednesday.
Yeah.
Finishing the write-up of that video and shooting it. Finished about 7 o'clock in the morning.
You texted me at like 4:30, like, all right,
cameras on, here we go.
Done. Cameras on, we're gonna knock this out. Right. Should be ready to go. And I don't know why I happened to be up at 4:30 in the morning, but I was like, all right, I'll be waiting for it.
Yeah. But I mean,
and it was posted like that by that night, wasn't it?
I think I posted it the next morning, because I spent Thursday most of the day driving to our campsite. And we didn't get there until like 5 p.m. or something like that. And I'm like, it'll hold till morning. And but no, I woke up at like 6 o'clock the next morning, finished the edit in like an hour and a half, and hit render and hit post. And
it's been working. We've been doing it that way for
a couple of years,
like 3 years.
Yeah,
I think I started editing videos for you like on the side, like back in 2020, right? Like, so because I still
I
lived
think
in my
late
old place in
2020
Salem.
is when you started. Yeah.
And yeah, there's really not been any issues with it. There was a couple instances back kind of in the middle there where I don't know what it was. Maybe it was personal bandwidth issues or something. We had a hard time connecting, but then the kinks all seem to sort themselves out, and we're back on track. Like, it's flawless.
And if you look at other solutions, which by the way, I'm going to look at another YouTuber's storage and editing solution, probably in the middle of next month. Getting someone set up with a proper storage server and editing solution and everything else. That's going to be fun. But if you look at traditional editing solutions where you download your footage from your camera onto your PC and then you upload it somewhere, Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever, and a remote editor has to download that footage, edit the footage, and then re-upload the changes. Obviously, you don't have to re-upload all the files, but you can't edit 4K raw video remotely. Yeah. It doesn't work.
No.
So, yeah, you have to download the files, but then you upload your project file for Premiere or Resolve or whatever you're doing with all of your time cuts and timelines and everything else. You then still have to render that on your rendering machine or server or whatever you've got. We've kind of taken out all the middleman in that, where we upload all of our footage to our edit server, which is it's the same as my file server, but my edit drive is 4 2 terabyte NVMe 4x4 drives in a RAID. Gosh, need to look at it. I think it's essentially a RAID 10.
Can any of you imagine at home just not knowing what you have?
I'm trying to remember. It's a RAID Z or a RAID Z2. So it's a RAID Z.
I love the idea of you just like inspiring some like hatred from somebody who's like, he doesn't even know what he has. Yeah. Does he deserve it?
I paid for these drives. No, it's in a RAID Z, so it's essentially a RAID 5 with 4 2 terabyte Gen 4x4 NVMe's. It is freaking fast. And so uploading the footage, it's the read speed off of our media that's the bottleneck. Getting it up to the server. So that means like a 40-minute raw cut takes like, I don't know, 6 minutes to get onto the server. And that's at ProRes 422 10-bit. Like it used
to be like a significant chunk of downtime in the studio. You know, it was like
an hour and a half to upload footage, right?
All right, we filmed this. Time to upload. Rett, did you upload that yet? Oh crap!
Yeah, guess we're not getting to that today.
I forgot to start.
And what's really funny is this YouTuber that I'm going to go get their server set up for them. That's what they're dealing with right now. Is they're recording on Canon C200s. They've got 2 C200s, and they're recording to CFast media. And the way they start their upload process is they upload it to their PC with NVMe first, and then they upload it to their Unraid server. Their Unraid server has about a 20 megabit upload.
Ouch.
So they've got to get it from their PC to their Unraid server. So their Google Cloud Sync service can pull it from Unraid and put it into Google Drive. So 24 hours later, that transaction is now complete. Okay.
But can you believe how long have they been doing? Like, what blows my mind is that, God, I sympathize with that so much. They're just like, well, we've made it work. They're like, we've been making it work for a long time now.
There's an old XKCD comic that says when a user asks a question and then says, never mind, I found a solution, never ask them what that solution is. Because you will die early of an aneurysm. And I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but Yeah, we're fixing a lot of those issues. But yeah, it's like if they and all of their editing is done remotely. And so they hire a couple contract editors who have to download that footage from the cloud. It literally takes sometimes 24 hours to get it from CFast to NVMe to Unraid to Google. And then they have to download from Google, which I don't know if you've ever downloaded from Google. You're usually capped at about 35 megabit.
It's not fast.
It's not fast. So downloading 60 or 70 or 80 gigabytes worth of footage, which is about their average project size, it takes at least a couple more hours. So you're looking like 27, 28 hours to start editing.
But, you know, if you've made peace with it and you've worked it into your flow, I mean, we've had pretty fast turnarounds, you know, from video wrap to posting sometimes. Like, we've had some pretty quick ones. That can't be universal for people in our shoes that have, you know, like outside editors and things like that.
Right. It definitely can't. It's definitely not universal, number one.
Right, right.
Number two, it's even less universal for people who host servers and proper backups and everything else. Because not only do I host everything on a centralized server, that server is also backed up. I don't.
You just run everything in RAID, so it's all good to
right.
go.
It's all in backup, right? I should shoot you. Yeah. Yes, it's in RAID. It also exists elsewhere. Now that elsewhere happens to be another server in my rack.
Right here.
Right.
That's where it exists.
No, actually, it's not even here. I don't love it. I just know it. The worst thing is that week that I did the that 4060 review, I woke up in the morning before I shot the 4060 review of another video that I had to get done before I went on vacation. Went to start editing it myself because I'm like, I can't, you know, even if I got the email to Rett and Rett goes, okay, I'm going to start knocking this one out right now. I went, I need to just have this one done. And so I just sat down to edit it. I sat down at like 5:30 in the morning, I think on like Tuesday morning that week. And the audio was garbled AF because what had happened was, it was my webcam review. It was my my Tiny 2 review.
Yeah, that was bad.
So OBS decided to switch my default microphone input to the webcam instead of my overhead mic. And so I also had, and it probably would have been usable had I not had my teleprompter in front of the webcam. So I shot the entire video on the webcam itself, but through the teleprompter. And so I woke up in the morning and I'm like, okay, audio looks good. Everything's good. Okay, let's pull this into Premiere and we're good to go. And he goes, welcome to Craft Computing, everyone. There's no saving that.
No, there's nothing more soul crushing than realizing you have to do something over again.
Especially because I knew the next project would be literally a 24-hour gauntlet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't move into the next one until this one's done. I can't. And yeah, that was...
Well, hopefully you shot it even faster, though.
It was about the same, but I think it was a little smoother. So there was that.
Video production, guys.
AI audio adjust would have fixed that? No, not as far gone as this was.
No, there's just no way.
NVIDIA Broadcast RTX Voice is an extremely powerful tool. It has its limitations. And like every tool, you need to understand what it can do and what it can't do. And even sometimes what it's not designed to do but does a decent job at isn't good enough for what you want it to do. Maybe in a pinch, maybe if it was like a 30-second clip that I didn't want to recut, although at that point, just re-record the 30-second clip. Like there's a diminishing return value on a lot of aspects of video production.
It really depends on what he means by fixed, right? Because fixed to him might not be fixed to you, might not be fixed to me.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, like sure, it makes me marginally want to live a little bit more than the other one, but also
I've put the gun down, but
yeah.
but I've still got my hand on it. Like, I'm not happy.
Now you're looking at the bottle of pills, you know? It's just like
wow, that went dark fast.
I'm just saying, like, sometimes you like, I don't care how powerful the tools are, man. I have yet to see it save something that I just think is unusable, you know? It's
if
like,
your loved one are suffering from depression, and I mean this seriously, I mean this genuinely, reach out, talk to someone, seek help. There are hotlines with people waiting. I don't mean to diminish that subject at all. Probably a poor joke that Rett took even further. But
this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Better Health. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry.
Can we bring back athletic greens, maybe?
Dude, it's crazy. I see their ads everywhere now.
Michael says 899. There you go.
899.
Or 988. That's right. Suicide hotline, 988.
God, which one's right? Lots banking on this, bro.
Yep.
We did miss a super chat. Let's just get out of this territory.
That's right.
I won't stop.
Yeah.
We did miss a super chat from way back when. David Ashwell, $5. Can you/Jeff/Wendell pour some brain power into Thunderbolt networking and Proxmox? It would be a cheap way for high bandwidth cluster networking.
Define cheap, because the motherboards that support Thunderbolt versus 40 gig daisy chainable network cards, that's diminishing returns rather quickly.
Right.
So Thunderbolt's really cool. I like, Thunderbolt, you can get 10, 20, 40 gigabit per second connections out of them. Thunderbolt's amazing on boards that support it. I don't know that going away from Ethernet standards to go to Thunderbolt is going to be worth the cost of the hardware unless you already have the hardware. In which case, it's like, yeah, I guess daisy chain some USB-Cs together and make it work. But that is such a niche, and I mean, it's probably worth a video if I had the hardware. Like, if I had multiple motherboards with Thunderbolt, with Thunderbolt network adapters and things like that. But at the same time, man, you can get 10 and 25 and 40 gig network cards for like under $35 now.
Right.
And so if your whole goal is to create like a 2 or even a 3 computer cluster, man, that's $150 including cabling. If like, it's not that expensive.
It's one of those things, I think, that sounds good on the surface, because in the future that's probably going to be more ubiquitous, right? Like, using Thunderbolt in that way.
Yeah. Skull chimes in. Feels like Thunderbolt networking is a limited use case. Just get a 2x 40 gig QSFP card. Exactly. That's exactly where my mind went. Because at its peak, at Thunderbolt 3, you're getting 40 gigabit per second on a non-universally supported protocol with Thunderbolt networking. Versus if you get a 40 gig InfiniBand card or a 40 gig Ethernet card, and you hook a couple of DAC cables between servers, you've got 40 gig networking via Ethernet and InfiniBand, which are universally supported protocols. So that's where I would go.
Yeah.
But you're thinking, and I like that.
Vince says he'll take care of it.
There you go.
I'll watch his video about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sweet. So we have another super chat. Hold on, let me get my camera set up here. I unplugged my Stream Deck for some unknown reason, but we'll get that back eventually. Slow Hardware chimes in with another 5 Kiwi bucks. Thank you. If Intel came out with a modern equivalent of X299 with 14th gen and priced it well, would you switch in a heartbeat? The thing is, that's what Sapphire Rapids is. Sapphire Rapids is 12th gen Alder Lake in high-end desktop form. The problem is pricing and availability and everything else that goes into high-end desktop pricing, because right now it's I'm waiting for a company to blink, and neither company wants to blink because their margins are too high. If Sapphire Rapids was affordable, and when I mean affordable, I mean $400 motherboard, not $1,000 motherboard, because consumer motherboards have crept up to the $500 to $700 range for some of the high-end stuff. Screw you, that's high-end desktop pricing. I am so frustrated with even the high-end consumer space, because it feels like those margins are too high. But that's the world we live in, which is why the 4060 is such a terrible deal. But I digress. Yeah, absolutely, I would switch to it in a heartbeat. I want to switch to it in a heartbeat. I want to love Sapphire Rapids. I really do. I want to love Threadripper. I loved Threadripper for years. The problem is, when Intel said we're going to exit the high-end desktop market, Threadripper went, oh cool, we don't have to compete with price points anymore. Let's just go ahead and price our CPUs starting at $1,400 instead of the literal $399 that the 1900X used to be. Let's start pricing our motherboards at $700 instead of some of the early gen Threadripper boards, which were $329, $389, somewhere in that price range for, the MSI Pro Carbon X399 and, even the 499 gigabyte Designaire. There were so many good values to be had back then if you needed all of that PCI Express expansion and all of that other goodness that came with it. I just can't stomach a $1,000 motherboard and a $1,400 CPU for equal performance to what I would get out of a system that cost 1/3 that price, but happens to have 128 PCI Express lanes. Like, that extra 2/3 of the cost, it's not worth the expansion. And that's a hard pill to swallow when the whole reason I want to do high-end desktop is for more expansion. I want a 100 gig network card and a couple of HDMI capture cards and my high-end graphics card all in the same box. I'm not willing to shell out for it. In fact, I'm probably willing to run lower-end hardware. I've thought about running what's 3rd gen Epic? Milan. I've thought about running a 3rd gen Milan Epic CPU if I can get a good deal on one, $499 and an ASRock rack Rome ADT. $1,000 for your combo. Yeah, you're not going to have as high end of single clock performance, single threaded performance, but you get all of that 128 PCI Express expansion, all of that NVMe storage expansion, with still, Zen 3 level CPUs. So I've thought about doing that more than I've thought about Sapphire Rapids, because it's just not realistic. Vince said, I was at an event last weekend. They used an HDMI to SDI capture and had a single SDI card with 5 or 6 HD inputs. I've seen similar cards like that. I do have a Blackmagic Decklink X4, which is 4 4K 60 HDMI captures. Unfortunately, it's still a PCI Express X. I believe it's an X8, but it's PCI Express 3. So
is that what's on your box right now?
Yeah, that's on my streaming PC right now. Here's the deal: if PLX was affordable, and I got into this a little bit with yesterday's video, even going all the way down to the R86S, if they would bifurcate some PCI Express 4.0 or God help us 5.0 lanes, and simply give us an X16 that's PCI Express 5, and maybe 2 X4s that are PCI Express 5, and then bifurcate the rest into X16 PCI Express 3, because there's more than enough available bandwidth to handle PCI Express 3 X16, 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 I would buy that motherboard in an absolute heartbeat. Because I don't need my X4 card, which is a 10 gig network card, to be PCI Express 5.0. It's a 2.0 card. I don't need all of the lanes to electrically connect to a 5.0 lane. I need one 5.0 lane to run at X2 speeds on a 4X card. Man, if they did that, if someone would just freaking do that, it's possible. The bandwidth is there. The problem is PLX chips are freaking expensive because, as I mentioned, Broadcom bought Quantia back in 2014, and once a king's ransom, they want like $700 for modern PLX chips, which is also why you don't see dual graphics cards anymore, because those all required PLX chips at the bifurcation level or at the switching level. So, yeah. Hey, Shep, you want to expand? Because I'm interested.
By the way, David Ashwell came back and he says, I was away from chat. The Thunderbolt is doing TCP IP. You can pay $15 for cables. And the mini form factor Thunderbolt 3/USB 4 equipped computers are going to start getting cheaper with time.
That is true. Some of the more modern, especially if you look at some of the mini PCs, I've got a couple of UM60s from Minis Forum here that are running Thunderbolt 3. I understand they're running TCP IP. One of the biggest questions is driver availability for multiple OSs, especially when you get into clustering and are you using Proxmox? Are you using ESXi? Are you using, whatever else? Are you doing Ceph clustering? Are you doing Kubernetes? Where's your use case at? And is the driver supported? Versus if you buy a Mellanox 2 or 3 or 4 card, you're pretty much going to be guaranteed universal compatibility, except for ESXi, because screw VMware. Let's see. Craft Computing, have you seen the new GPD external graphics card? I have. I really wish GPD would return my emails because I want to review their stuff.
Yeah, what the heck?
I'm enthusiastic about their stuff. GPD.HK, if you're watching tonight, probably not. But come on, respond to one of them. I've sent like 7 emails over the years. I've bought a couple of products and actually done reviews on them myself because they were products I was interested in. I reviewed the GPD Win 3 when it came out. I've had a couple of other GPD products. My daily driver laptop is a GPD Win Max 2 pre-Oculink update. So it's the 680M instead of the 780M. But literally one of my favorite laptops I've ever owned.
So cool. When we were down in San Jose, I was like, my mouth was getting a little watery every time I looked over.
Isn't that dope?
The screen looks so good. The whole form factor is brilliant. Love that thing.
I've done 2 live streams on that now, and I'm going to do probably a couple more before the end of the year. Off of a 10.1-inch display. It's a 1600p display. It is as bright as I think it's a 600 nit brightness at max brightness. Right. It's got USB 4 and USB 3 C ports on the back. It's got 3 Type A ports. It's got an HDMI 2.1 output. It's got native X input controls on there, which are actually fairly comfortable to use with analog, Hall effect triggers and joysticks on it. It's comfortable to hold. It's comfortable to type on. I've edited videos. I've played games. I've done live streaming. I've done so much crap on that PC. It's one of my favorite PCs in a decade. Dude, easily.
Sitting in that brewery with that laptop and the freaking that camera,
right,
and everything, that was like the coolest we've ever looked.
Mm-hmm. By the way, if anyone is heading to DEF CON, I am finally heading to DEF CON. So literally like 8 days after I get back from LTX, I'm going to get on a plane and go to Vegas. Rett has a 10-year anniversary, so his wife doesn't hunt him down and kill him. But John.
Let's get real. The 10-year anniversary was my idea. Okay, I'm trying to keep her around.
I'm not going to dispute that. So actually, Mr. Hops and Brews and I will be down in Vegas, and we're going to be live streaming, hopefully from a brewery there on Wednesday night on August 9th? August 9th, I think that is. So we will announce that probably a couple of weeks before we go, but the only thing I'm taking to Vegas is my GPD Win Max 2, the OBS Bot Tiny 2, a little light, and my Rode Wireless Goes. And a change of clothes.
Also, I had more friends watching that stream down in San Jose than I ever have before, and they were obsessed with the Rodes. I had more people texting me like, where can I buy those?
Weren't those so good?
They're great. They're great.
What's funny is
we've used them so much in studio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever appreciated them as much as when we took them down there.
No, and what's really funny is we've used them wirelessly before in studio.
Yeah.
It was only until I was going, how are we going to do the live stream? Because I went, for the walking around for the interview videos, we'll just clip a couple of Rodes on and off we go. Like, it's a simple solution. I didn't realize it acts as a USB interface on your PC when you plug the receiver in to your PC. So I had a little 6-inch USB-C to USB-A cable that I plugged into the receiver, and it goes, new audio interface found. And I went, what the crap? I didn't even know that was a feature of them the week prior. But I was looking at, like, do I pack my Scarlett Right 2i2? Do I pack, the tripod stands and the microphones and everything else?
It's a lot of extra work.
It's a lot of extra setup. It's a lot of extra work. Versus just like, just like clip the Rode mic there and then plug the receiver in and you're good for like 8 hours of streaming. And it's like, holy crap, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah. Pretty sweet. Yeah, anybody wanting to get into that, take a look at the Rodes, man. I'm an audio guy, and sometimes audio stuff always like takes me by surprise, and I'm just like, Jesus. Then you begin to see them everywhere. You see the number of YouTubers that have those things, and it's just like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring a burner phone. Actually, DV Noloff might have something to say about that because the whole burner phone thing hasn't been a thing for a while. Like, hasn't been a necessity.
For VPN? What's
no,
up with that?
You realize if you attend a convention. So number one, a favorite game of DEF CON attendees is Spot the Fed.
Oh, right.
Number two is if you're attending a security convention, you have to expect to potentially be attempted to be exploited. He's carrying this phone. I'm going to see if I can fry his Wi-Fi. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to see if I can do that. It's a less common thing now, and there's almost more of a like, I'm not going to try to exploit a random locker buyer.
There's like codes of conduct now. Rules of engagement.
It's unspoken. Right. I mean, I am saying this based off people I know who have been there and whatnot. It's vastly different than DEF CON 3. Yeah, of course I'm going to try to play Spot the Fed. That's a fun game I play in my daily life anyway. But
everybody's in chat saying you're wrong, bro. You got enough phones. You better bring something.
I will. Yeah. DEF CON love to hack phones. Yeah, RFID exploits. I don't have NFC enabled on my phone anyway. So.
Oh, Mr. Security Hotshot over here.
Yeah, I went to the settings and turned it off. Like.
But how are you supposed to use Google Pay?
I don't.
You've never forgotten your wallet anywhere, have you?
No, because I'm not an idiot.
How dare you, sir?
Also, my wallet has NFC blocking, so.
Hey, mine too, bro.
What?
Is that an extra wallet?
It is an extra wallet. Isn't that a nice
God,
wallet?
they look classy.
Hashtag not sponsored anymore.
This is the gentleman's wallet. Hey. You like that?
Careful flashing the cards.
What are they going to do? RFID hack me?
They're going to...
There's no numbers. I showed the back.
They can read the imprint from the back. You know that, right?
Oh God, you're right. There's numbers there.
There's numbers.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cancel that card.
Yeah. You just gave up your CCV and the last 4. Like, good luck.
No. My CCV isn't there, is it?
Yes.
No, it wasn't. They could see my.
Tell you what,
nope,
$20 to the first person to get an Amazon purchase on Rett's card.
And it's Prime Day.
And it's Prime Day. There you go.
Look, I'll tell you what. Make sure it's delivered to my house and it's fair game.
There you go. Where's that 55-gallon drum of lube?
What kind of lube we talking?
Bulk.
Go onto my bank app, cancel card.
Yep. They say most bank cards only print numbers on the back. I have 3 out of 4 that would beg to differ with you. So.
What do you mean? Print?
I have one card that instead of embossing, insteed of actual physical pressing the numbers,
it's just printed.
It's not even printed on the front; it's printed on the back along with your expiry and CCV.
Oh yeah, so that's my credit cards like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have one card that is just printed. I have 3 other cards that are embossed, fully standard layout, everything. What kind of lube we talking about? Enough to fill a kid's swimming pool. That's not creepy at all, that sentence strung together.
I think he just means size-wise, not like kids are going to be using it. Hey, by the way, really quickly, I've moved on to my second beer. It's no surprise, African Amber from Mac and Jack's. Very delicious beer.
Oh, there you go.
5.8%. Pretty drinkable. Very malty. Delicious. I'm drinking it out of this clay cup, or I would show you what's up. But it does have a hand-painted octopus on the cup, so that's pretty cool.
Have you ever had octopus?
I have, yeah.
I have too. What did you think?
Yeah. I hated it.
How did you have it?
Well,
was it still like suckering, or was it?
Yeah, it suckered my tongue. Yeah, I didn't like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had it at a sushi place in Kyoto, and it's now. I've made fun of Jeff for his food things a lot on the show.
You get it now, don't you?
Octopus is about the one thing I've ever had where I'm just like, well, I never need to eat that again. I muscled through. The guy was a great host, and he was there, like, watching me eat it. And so I was just like, I'm like, how many freaking times do I have to chew this god blessed thing in order for it to go down my throat comfortably? And eventually, I had to like put in like 200 chews, and I was just like, well, glass of sake down, just slurped it down, and I ate the whole thing almost whole. I swear to God, it felt like I had a rubber dog toy in my mouth. It was awful. And the flavor, it wasn't the flavor. It was literally the fact that I could not chew it.
Yeah. I have had octopus and squid, but I've had it basically Southern style both times, where it's been deep fried and battered. It's actually
deep fried.
It's actually quite delicious when it's done that way.
Yeah, squid is doable. I've had squid quite a bit. I've also had deep fried. This is really good. Deep fried jellyfish.
I've not had the jellyfish.
And this is like, I don't know if it's a particularly like Chinese thing or not, but I went to a traditional Mandarin wedding, and they served a 12-course meal, and I was eating these things, and it felt like I was eating almost like you know those like veggie straw like chips. Have you ever had those things? The veggie straw chips. They're like, whatever. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what I'm talking about. But they're these. But I was eating these like tubular deep fried things, and I was like, wow, these are amazing. No,
yes, I have had those.
Yeah, they're everywhere. You see them. Apparently, they're not healthy, but they are made out of vegetables.
Right. Yeah, they do them out of cauliflower, rice, and a couple other things. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of oil, apparently, is the trick.
Right.
So
which is how you make anything taste good, to be honest.
I know. Yeah, they figured it out.
I could be a vegan if everything was deep fried.
You deep fry Oreos in the right oil, and they're still vegan. But But anyway, it was deep fried jellyfish tendrils, and they were so freaking good. And then I had some regular fried jellyfish, and it was also really delicious. And it was at a 12-course Mandarin wedding meal. So I don't know if it's a traditional thing or not. That's the only traditional Mandarin wedding I've been to.
I've not had jellyfish. Like I said, I love seafood. I love
surprising coming from like Mr. No Pickles, but I guess it's
why is seafood such a surprise for no. I didn't say I like sushi. I've had sushi a number of times. Man. I can do like your standard California rolls, little wasabi. Like
sure.
I'm totally that's okay. When you get into more of the exotic sushis and whatnot, I'm gonna pass.
I mean that's no hard feelings there, bro.
Like give me a little rice and some cold salmon. Like I'm on board. Like.
Dude, salmon. You gotta love that. That's like a specifically Northwest invention for sushi too. Right. It's like, it's like, is this the best? Did we just perfect sushi?
Let's take the best fish and turn it into sushi. Okay, cool. Right. We're all on the same page.
There we
now.
Go. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So like sushi, I'm not huge on. I'm never gonna like go seek out sushi on my own. But if I go and we're like, oh, let's all go get sushi. I'm not gonna make mine deep fried. It's like, no, I can handle, some basic sushi. But when it comes to like cooked fish, I love cod, I love halibut, I love salmon, I love tilapia, I love mussels, I love oysters, I love like prawns, crawdads.
I don't know why this is so surprising to me. It shouldn't be, but it is.
I love seafood. I also have a rule that I never eat seafood more than 2 hours from the beach. If I drive more than 2 hours, that means also the seafood did, and I'm out.
That's a good rule. That's a really good rule. But like, what if it's like a river fish? Then
I question the river it came from.
All right, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
very reasonable.
If you're selling me sockeye and we're in Kansas, I'm out.
Sounds like a man who's had sockeye in Kansas.
Mistakenly, yes.
Yeah, it's so weird because like I love seafood, but I'm not like a connoisseur, right? But I've had a lot of seafood. I've had shark steaks before.
I've not had shark.
They had these big fillets. I say steaks, but it's really just like they had these really thick, big fillets of shark. Really good. I've had alligator before, which that's not seafood. I don't think you can count that, but that's just Cajun. Yeah, I don't know, man. But honestly, this might sound like crazy to the rest of our viewers here, but the best sushi that I've ever had. Okay. You want to talk about best sushi I've ever had locally? It comes from a place that looks like the dirtiest restaurant you've ever been in. That doesn't sound like it should make sense for sushi, but it's called Momiji's, and they've got clean restaurants in Salem. Don't go to the clean ones. Go to the dingiest, dirtiest one behind a freaking cigarette store. And my God,
that's where the best Chinese restaurant is too, by the way. It is.
But that Chinese ain't selling raw fish,
No, that's very true.
I don't know what it is about this restaurant. Every time I go in there's definitely like a Japanese Buddhist monk there from like out of town, and they're just like, oh well, we always come here when we're flying in from Japan. But then if you're in Japan and you're an American, treat yourself. Go to your nearest 7-Eleven after 8 p.m. because they discount all the prices, right? In Japan, they're not necessarily. I think they get penalized for throwing out food. So they discount everything after 8 p.m. And you can go in and get some of the best sushi you've ever had as an American. Yeah. You can get the best sushi you've ever had at a 7-Eleven for like a few bucks. Yeah. A few bucks. Oh my God. I ate like a prince over there just hitting the 7-Elevens. I left Sumo in Tokyo, the Ryogoku Koku Kikan or whatever the freaking sumo arena is called. I swear to God, it's called that, the Ryogoku Goku Kikan. And I left sumo and I was walking down the street to my train, and all of the sumo wrestlers were like in the 7-Elevens getting sushi.
Yeah. I will say, I have lived very, very well by my rule of if I am a 2-hour drive inland, I do not eat seafood.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
However, the worst seafood I've ever had, I got from a little jazz bistro in San Francisco. Like, in San Francisco, you have no excuses for having bad seafood. We were literally like 3/4 of a mile from the wharf. We were on mission. On the mission. We were right off Main Street and 2nd or something like that. And we stayed right in the mission for a week, and we had amazing food the entire time, except for one lunch. I was passing this jazz bistro. They had live jazz every night, and they advertised like seafood and burgers and all. And I'm like, we have to eat there one time. Because it looked like one of those slightly run down, which means the food's going to be like that much more amazing. Like, it was the perfect recipe for, I'm either going to die of hepatitis or that will be the best restaurant I've ever eaten in my life. The odds were not in my favor.
That's you got to take a risk to have the rewards.
That's exactly right. But I'm like, it's San Francisco. I can smell the wharf from here. It's gonna be good seafood. So I went in there, and I think I had, gosh, what was it? It was prawns and. It was like a prawn fettuccine Alfredo kind of thing. So it had some fish, it had prawns, it had a couple other things added in there. They brought it out, and I swear to God, there was salt water on my plate of fettuccine Alfredo.
Yeah.
And I took a bite of this mussel, and it's like, it was that octopus, like, chew it 98 times. And I'm like, that's not what that's supposed to be.
Man.
We asked for our money back. And I never do that. But I went to this place, and my wife's meal was equally as disgusting. Like,
and this is the jazz place.
This was like the...
You lost the gamble.
We lost the gamble. Like, yeah, it looked like such the happening little hole in the wall right off of Main Street in the Mission. Like, like the place where you like go, like, the best seafood I ever had was at this little jazz bistro that I found. And it could not have been further from the truth.
You know, your whole story was warming me up to like talk about when I was in Japan. You know, one of the crazy surprising things is how big their jazz scene is. Mm-hmm. Some of the best restaurants I ate in were jazz bars.
They usually are, right?
Because their jazz scene, it just popped up. The music scene in Japan is just like, it's like you have, if you're an American, right, you have like the American music industry, you have the UK music industry, but then the Japanese music industry is like, it's closed off, it's inscrutable to us. Yeah. And they keep it strong, and they love jazz. So you have to think like
jazz.
Japan is like a post World War II country, like through and through, and that was one of the things that they really consumed from America, because jazz is the American music. It is our cultural export as far as music goes.
Yeah, and it's that New Orleans flair, little R&B, you know, kind of down underneath it, but yeah, no, that is the, you know. You could argue jazz and rock and roll, but jazz, because rock and roll also had some European roots. You know, obviously you've got, your pop music, Beatles and things like that, you know, kind of emerging at the same time, but culturally jazz, ours.
Yeah.
It's the one thing we own, damn it.
We export motorcycle gangs and jazz.
That's right.
That's what we give to the culture of the world. Yeah, man. So crazy. Yeah. Did I ever tell you the time about I rescued a person from the canals of Venice?
No.
Has this story never been on this show before?
This is the thing I love about Rett is of all of my friends, I am typically the most well-traveled, the one who has held the weirdest jobs, the most obscure jobs. And then you talk to Rett, and it's just like other level. because let me go over some of my credentials, okay? I was scuba certified at age 12.
Okay, you got me beat right there. I can't do anything with that. That's cool as hell.
But scuba certified at age 12. I've been on probably close to 70 dives or so. I was also one of the first people in the US to get the PADI certification called Habitat Diver, which was meant for volunteers and upkeepers of aquarium exhibits.
That's cool as hell.
Okay.
How can I live up to this?
I volunteered for over 2 years at the Newport Aquarium on the Oregon coast, where Keiko was. When they took Keiko out, they put in the tunnels. They call it the Passages of the Deep, and kind of emulated the San Diego Aquarium, where you have tunnels that walk through the water. We upkept those, and at the time I was 16 years old, and they decided late stage in the process of the Habitat Diver certification that, sorry, we don't want anyone under 18 to actually dive in the aquarium. So even though you're going through on our recommendation and everything else, I was advanced and rescue certified, as well as getting the Habitat certification. They said, nope, sorry, you can't do that. You have to be 18. I'm like, I'm one of the most qualified people that's in your program right now, and you're telling me no because I'm 16 years old? And they went, yeah. I went, okay, cool. I still volunteered at the aquarium for 2 years. My dad was one of the divers who went down. I was the dive tender who actually communicated all of the things from the surface. I would go down in the tunnels, say, hey, over here needs clean. This is what we do. I would prep divers in and out of the water. I would also go to other exhibits and upkeep other exhibits that didn't require diving. One of the coolest things that I've done is I've sat in a lawn chair and pet a seal.
That's pretty cool.
Like I got to do crap like that. And you know, I've been a technology director. I've been to the top of my career path and come out the other side going, yeah, what's next? I'm kind of looking for the next thing. And then I talked to Rett, and he's been like, oh, I've been to like 17 countries. And did I tell you about the time that I rescued a guy from the canals in Italy? You're the one person who has that on me.
But scuba certification sounds dope as hell. I don't have that. I've never been scuba diving, not once, you know? I'm scared of that. Like,
but I'm the adrenaline. I was the one who was riding motorbikes at age 5. I was totally that kid. And
it took me until I was 25 to ride a motorcycle for the first time.
Yeah.
I was
see, by 25, I had gotten onto that. Went like, I'm done with that. Let me get scuba certified. Gotten back into it. Bought quads and snowmobiles. And then went, you know what? That's fun. I've had my fun there. And sold them again.
See, but like, yeah. And there's a whole other aspect there too. You've always worked. So you've always had a little bit of money. I was perpetually broke. Well, I mean, you know,
yeah.
I guess that's true. That's an unfair way to phrase it. I was like perpetually broke until I was like 25, like right up until I met you.
So when are you buying snowmobiles? Because I want to get back into that.
I know you're talking about it. I'm like, dang, that sounds really fun. But yeah, no, I did rescue somebody from the canals of Venice, and I didn't dive to do it. I just pulled them up from the ground. But it was the most patriotic and the most American I ever felt, because this Russian dude, we were just walking from our apartment looking for a place to eat, and he was like definitely drunk.
Yeah.
And he was having a good time, drinking his wine, eating his pasta, taking some pictures of some seagulls that had landed in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them did the whole Untitled Goose Game thing, and it's like, you know, and he was like, oh crap, and he fell. And if you've been to Venice or look at any pictures of Venice, there's no guardrails.
No.
Okay, this ain't America.
Right.
He just
there's
fell
no
ass
OSHA
first.
Here.
No, he fell ass first into the canals. And
everyone else in Italy goes, if he dies, he dies.
That's exactly what I'm looking around. I'm like, the hell? This I wonder how often this happens. Everybody's just being super chill. And I was like, and he was like, help, help. He's like yelling for help. So I run over there and I'm like, holy crap, man, I got you. And I like get down on my freaking stomach and I like reach all the way down and he's like trying to scramble up and he grabs my arm and I grasp him and I hoist him up. And I get him up and I grab the belt on his pants and I pull him up. And he's like, oh my God, thank you. Why didn't anybody else help me? I just saw people walk by and I was like, I have no idea, man. What the heck is going on? And I went into the restaurant. Guy's like, thank you so much. And he like finishes his glass of wine. He's drenched head to toe. His hair is soaking. He's plastered against his face. He sits down, finishes his glass of wine. He's just like, doo-doo-doo. And I'm in there and I'm talking to the people and I'm like, that's crazy crap, man. Like that happened all the time. And the waiter's like, no, not at all. And I was like, why didn't anybody help? And he's like, yeah, I think they just thought he was a drunk tourist.
That's pretty much it. I don't need to get involved.
And I was like, this is why you need Americans out here. I am not patriotic at all in the slightest, but I had never felt more red-blooded American than hoisting that man out of that canal. I was like, this is American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
Awful, but oh well.
Then he's pulling a Russian out of a canal and hears "Caw!" in the background, looking for the eagle.
Yeah, I heard the eagle. I heard the 21 gun salute. The red, white, and blue just tinted my vision all the way through.
But
it was cold as hell too. I can't believe the water was freezing because it was like November.
Yeah,
But anyway.
But like I said, Rhett's the one person who can always out travel me. Because I've been to quite a few states, but I didn't
have a passport now.
I do have a passport now. I finally got my passport because I had to go to LTX. I've never been to Canada. I've never been to Mexico. Until I was 23 years old, I had never been more than 8 hours off of the West Coast. I had been within 20 minutes of Canada and 20 minutes of Mexico. I'd been to Spokane, Washington, and
Everett,
further up north,
yeah.
Everett, Everett, Puget Sound area. I had been all the way to San Diego and been Mexico, turn right, and never had I ever really traveled outside of the I-5 corridor. Then I started traveling, and it was great. But I've still only ever been within the U.S. and so I've been to I think 14 or 15 states now.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean
that's a good number.
I mean, in the last 15, 20 years, yeah, it's definitely a good number. But I mentioned states, and you're like, yeah, I've been to more countries than that.
I never did it before I was 23, 25.
Right. So
I hated the idea of travel before. I remember I got married to my wife, and she's like, yeah, one of my goals, if we get married, I want to travel. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. And she took me to Hawaii. She dragged me basically. I hate to admit it. She dragged me, and it's just different enough, just exotic enough that I was like, oh my God, is this what it's like?
Yeah.
Is this what it's like out there? And this sounds really stupid to people that have been to Hawaii maybe or been to other places, but it's I'm driving downtown Honolulu and all the street signs are in another language. Yeah. They're in Hawaiian. And I'm not saying the street signs I couldn't read. It was the street names were Hawaiian words. And I was like, that's kind of cool. This is crazy. There's a whole other way of life. Things are more expensive. Your money is a little bit different. The dollar is good. But after that, I was like, this. And I had gone to Canada for my honeymoon.
Yeah.
And even that was I went to Victoria, BC, and it's people have British accents. I had different currency, but that didn't even quite do it for me Hawaii did. And after that unlocked something in my brain. And I was like, I got to do this a little bit more often, And
yeah. See, we're planning on going to Belize next year. And
love Belize.
Right. And so it's I was so excited to take craft computing full time because I'd never gotten the opportunity to travel before. And while I've been to a decent amount of states, it's always been to go see family who happen to have moved to those states. Or go to QuakeCon in Texas in the middle of freaking August. And it's like, that's the worst time to visit Texas. I don't know if you've been to Texas in August. Don't go to Texas in August.
But you know what? That makes it the best time.
Don't go to Phoenix in August.
Nobody's there.
Like,
don't do that.
The places that I've been have always been the worst times to visit those places too. I went to Wisconsin in February. I went to Texas in August. I went to Arizona in August. I've been to Oklahoma a couple times. I've been to California, but only like during like touristy stints. Outside of like when we just went to San Jose when it was like this 74, and it's like, this is nice. I've been to Seattle pretty much all year round. Like it's a common place to go for vacation for Portlanders and whatnot. Outside of those places, it's like I'd never been somewhere that truly felt different. So yeah, we're looking forward to going to Belize. We're trying to plan the next couple of trips out as well. Yeah, no,
the beautiful thing about Belize is that like English is their national language. Uh-huh. So like that's like one load off your brain. Mm-hmm. And then their currency is tied to American currency. Mm-hmm. So as our currency fluctuates, their currency is always 50%.
Right.
So it's like so like $1 US is $2 Belize.
Right.
And that makes things easy because a lot of places take American currency. Right. So it's just like, you're like, oh, thank God. And you know what, man? The beer is pretty good. I don't care what they say. Everybody's like, we drive to Mexico to get our beer. No, it's pretty good.
I've actually had beer from Belize. Some of my family went a couple of years ago, and that's why we kind of went like, we're going to go to Belize. And they went to a couple different places. One of them was an all-inclusive resort, but it's technically a dry area. They have a couple dry, like county, state, city, whatever you want to call it. But on the mainland, they had a couple of breweries, and there was one brewery that's like, it's the oldest brewery in Belize. And so they brought me back a couple of beers, and it's like,
they got one brewery.
Those were not bad.
All of the breweries
that's right.
are one brewery.
That's right.
And this is like their jobs program because it employs tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
It's like one of their biggest employees in the country. That's why you can't buy Mexican beer, because they want to keep Belizeans employed at the brewery. It's pretty clever when you think about it. And their beer is not bad.
It's really not.
I don't care what people say.
They had a lager, and it's like, dude, I would take this over any American domestic ever.
And it's got a Mayan pyramid on it.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
It was actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, we're planning on going to Belize, I think next July or something like that. And can't freaking wait.
Jealous. Someday I'll make it back to Belize. I've only been once, but
I mean, book the trip
in July.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Let's make it happen.
Now we're talking. All right.
Oh, and when I travel, especially if I'm going exotic, like a couple times I've gone to like Seattle, and we'll book in like a nice hotel. Because when I travel, I don't want to be like, oh, I need to make sandwiches for lunch. It's like, no, I want lunch at 11:30, and it better be brought to me. Like, that's the way I travel, and it's not from like a posh point of view or something like that. It's just like, I'm on vacation. I don't want to worry about this. Especially because I have 3 kids. I don't want to worry about schedules and like. I am so free and loose when I'm on vacation, but I also want some things taken care of. Except when I'm camping. I don't mind doing everything myself when I'm camping.
That's a whole other thing. Your mindset is different. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But if I'm going and I'm going to stay at a hotel, I want it to be an all-inclusive resort hotel where it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
open bar and dinner is from 5 to 9.
This is my 10-year anniversary trip coming up.
Yeah.
This is the first all-inclusive place I'll have gone in all my travels.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to it. Like, we already got like reservations made for dinner a bunch of the nights because they've the resort's got like the resort has a few different restaurants. We've already got like a mezcal tastings lined up and beer taste. Yeah, dude, I can't believe it. I'm like, this is all included.
Right.
This is nuts. It's just a matter of how much time do you have in the day. How much capacity does your liver have? I guess some
They
of the
haven't met
pools.
my liver.
I've read some awful things about this, but the idea is intoxicating to me. It's like there are swim up bars in some of the pools, and I'm going in peak, it's August and I'm going down to, the Caribbean and like sort of peak don't go to the Caribbean season.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the resort is a little empty, but yeah, I've read some horror stories about the swim up bars. Like some people just don't leave them ever, even to like go to the bathroom.
Right.
But we'll see.
Novella has an interesting comment, and I wonder if Rett, you've learned from Craft Computing the ultimate open bar master.
Oh, the ultimate open bar. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Go to the bank, get yourself some $2 bills.
No, that was John's friend who does the $2 bills.
Oh, is that
Remember?
right? Okay. Yeah,
he was the brewery
right.
owner who did the $2 bills.
That's right. Okay.
No. So if there's an open bar, so Novella says make sure to tip Rett. Rett, we had this conversation, I think, at our first official Craft Computing outing, which was PAX West back in 2018. And I told the entire team, Craft Computing tips well. That is something I never want. I don't want a stigma. I don't want anything ever to come back about they were assholes when it came to this. And so what I do at any open bar is I'll typically grab 3 or 4 $20 bills. Why? Because if I'm going out to a bar and I'm going to drink 6 drinks, I'm expecting to spend $80 to $100 anyway.
Sure.
So if it's an open bar, I'll leave the hotel room with $80 in my pocket. The first 4 drinks that I order, I tip $20. Period. And what that does is it tells the server, your time is worth my time. I appreciate what you do. You take care of me, I'm going to take care of you. And for the first 4 drinks, they get $80. And then they will take care of you the rest of the night because no one else tips. And it's partially a, like, if I was going to go and drink this much anyway, I'd be spending this much anyway. So I really don't miss that money. Also, True. It gives the hostess, the host, the servers, etc. It gives them an up night on what otherwise might be a down night. Because if you've ever been
an open bar like
if you've ever been to an open bar, no one ever tips because it's like, oh, the drinks are all paid for. Yeah, but while the staff is paid for on their hourly wage, $15 does not pay rent in Vegas. And I want to make sure that if I'm there and I'm enjoying the drinks and you're taking care of me, I'm going to take care of you.
I guarantee our trip to PAX West, those people, because that was the Intel party. Yeah, I think Lenovo. That's right. You're right. Sorry. You're right. It was Lenovo. Good memory. The Lenovo party. Yeah, we tipped very well. All 4 of us tipped really well. We had a pretty good... I was the only one that deviated from the plan, and I was the only one that woke up with a hangover.
Brett went to wine.
I did go to wine, and I was the only one.
Like his 3rd drink, he's like, no, they had like a really nice red over there. It's pretty good. He woke up in the morning going, oh, what the hell was I thinking?
And the worst part, I was the only one with appointments in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a 7 a.m. meeting with CG Project Red.
CD Projekt Red. Steve joined me.
With Holly Bennett about Cyberpunk, wasn't it?
It was Cyberpunk and a couple of other projects.
Yeah.
It was awful. And we were a little bit late, but they let us in. They fed us breakfast.
They're like, you look like hell. Go have a couple of eggs.
Steve was on his game, man. I can't believe how good he looked after that whole thing. He kept telling me, he's like, you'd never deviate from the plan, man. Never. No. Yeah, and then same thing when we went to Vegas and we were up at the that was the Intel party.
Oh, the Palms.
Vegas. The Palms.
No, that was MSI.
Oh, well, God dang it, you're right.
It was MSI.
Where does Intel factor into this? Have we gone to an Intel party?
I don't know, not really.
Okay. Lenovo.
Yeah, right. MSI was that one.
That was MSI. Right.
I've been to a couple A-Data parties. I've been to a Gigabyte party. I've been to a couple MSIs. I've been to Lenovo. I've been to... there's quite a few parties that I've been to. Intel's never really the chief sponsor when it comes to events like that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. But yeah, we kept him pretty good up there at that MSI party too. That was a great party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at the
rooftop.
Yeah, the
club,
the Palms rooftop.
Was it the Palms or the Sands?
That was the Palms.
Yeah. It was one of the ones that's like off the strip.
No, it was the Palms. Like, yeah, it's around the corner from the strip. It's across from where Penn and Teller do their thing. So that was the Palms. Great party.
The rooftop bar.
You and the very next year, Steve, we went to the same place, and it was pretty great. It was the same kind of
great party.
Same kind of jive. There's another one that we went to. Gosh, I think it was 2019. So it was, 2018. So before craft computing was officially there. There was one in the Tau nightclub in the Venetian, and holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. We have a good time, but
there's two things I like to do.
We keep it under control.
We do.
Keep it under control.
There's two things I like to do at open bar parties. Number one, tip well for your first 4 or 5 drinks. Drop $20 on order a drink, drop $20 when they come. Make sure they feel appreciated.
Especially if you're Jeff and you're going up there like, oh yeah, I'll take Johnny Walker and blah 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 blah.
Right. Yeah, especially if you're ordering good stuff. Number two, I like to Godfather it. What that means is you get there early and you find a booth and you chill.
That's what we did at PAX.
You let everyone else come to you.
That's what we did at PAX.
And that's what I've done at almost every single Vegas, PAX, etc. party that I've been to, open bar party, is I get a booth and try to get a corner booth so you can fit like 10 people in. And if they want to come talk to you, come talk to me. Let's talk in a circle. Let's have good bottle service. And then you can get conversation and the bar and everything else. I don't have to frickin' pretend I like the music. I don't have to sit there with a deafening subwoofer in my ear, because that's also not my jam. I don't like club scenes. I don't like super loud music. I like to be able to talk when I'm at parties. And so I Godfather it and I tip well. That's my recommendation if you ever go to an open bar.
Well, this episode of Craft Computing took a turn, but I'm there for it. This is what's up.
I can't wait for LTX. That's going to be so much fun.
Oh, Jeff Geerling, I'm so sorry, but maybe, you know what, though? God dang, he's probably really good at volleyball if he's challenging us.
There's also a thing that I like to repeat on here, and that's don't fight outside your weight class, and Geerling may be outside his weight class on this one.
I mean, look at me. Look at me.
He's not a super tall guy.
I almost look like...
Versus, I think the average craft computing host is 6'1". And Steve is the one who brings it down.
Steve, come on, man.
He's not holding up his end of the bargain here.
John's not that tall either, but...
No.
Yeah, he's got to be there, around there, though.
He's like 5'10".
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Anyway, this has been an unexpectedly fun edition of Talking Heads. I really enjoyed this one.
Get out there and travel, guys. It'll change your perspective on a lot of things.
Yep. Hoping to travel a lot more, especially now that restrictions have loosened up. Like, I realized that in the course of 7 weeks, I'm going to be in San Jose, Vancouver. I have another one coming. There's Seattle. Is that the
one up in Seattle?
Yeah, there's one up in Seattle. And then there's another one. Oh, and Vegas. All inside of 7 weeks.
Perfect.
And it's heck yes.
Start your tally.
It feels like normal again. Where I should have been. Because one of the things I was looking forward to most, and most people go I hate travel. I love travel. I love traveling.
It's fun.
And it's super fun. You go full time in 2020, and then June 2020 they go, we're canceling all flights anywhere. It's well, crap, that kind of backfired.
Yeah. We had plans to go to the East Coast. We were going to visit DC and New York and all this sort of stuff.
That's right. No, we had a New York trip basically planned out, and it got shuttered. We had we had a couple other trips that have come up through the years, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll totally have you. Oh wait, we decided to like not attend this event because COVID. And, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that sucks.
You know, and what sucks, like, we can all feel good about the decisions that we all made because we're safe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We made the safe decisions. The safe decisions
I feel
for ourselves,
nothing
for our families.
wrong about the decisions I made, about the safety that I put in place. Both when I was a director of multiple employees and when I was not a director of multiple employees, when I was just self-employed. The minute the lockdown notice came in and they said all non-essential personnel go home, I looked at all 8 of my texts and I went, go home. Yeah. If the only people that are going to be here is our main office, I can replace a toner cartridge. You're not needed. Go home. Because it's way safer for me to replace a toner cartridge than for me to employ 5 of you to be here to service 13 people. Go home.
You know, and I don't remember. I don't know if everybody remembers what it was like in those early days, but it's like not like people were thinking very clearly. And it's like, imagine having those people hanging around. You know, people worried about so much stuff that is beyond their control, outside their scope of work, and it's just like, yeah, man, I don't know. You can rest easy. We even made the decision not to go to Vegas this year for CES, and it's like that stung. You know, I know we were both really looking forward to it.
We were both right there, but then we had, number one, an incurable fungus that was spreading. Yeah, and also COVID was on the rise.
Still is.
And it's still there.
The fungus is still around.
But yeah, we decided to pull the parachute last second, and we had basically all of our meetings scheduled, and we said, can we go virtual with these? And we did those a couple. I don't think we made any content about CES. We just got in touch with the people that we wanted to talk to.
And it shows you exactly where the world was still at, that everybody was like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, almost everybody was like, yeah, we can do remote. No problem. Let's do this. Let's talk about it. A couple were like, can we meet after? Can we do this? It's like, exactly, man. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And no use fretting about it. It's already passed. So the future is opening up.
Yeah. One last super chat before we close tonight. Slow Hardware chimes in with another 5 New Zealand dollars. Thank you very much. I don't know the exchange rate from the beginning of the show to now, but I do appreciate them all the same. He says, sorry, was that too much? Jeff versus Luke, Halo Combat Evolved at LTX. Ooh, there's a good thought. Because I know Luke likes a good Halo CE match. My bachelor party. Do we go to a strip club? No. Do we go to a bar? No. We hooked up 4 Xboxes and had a 9-player Halo tournament. Come on, Luke.
What's up?
Bring it on.
What's up? Can't tell you. I'm obsessed with no shields and only pistols.
I love only pistols, especially like original Halo only pistols. It's great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. And you go no shields so you can get those excellent headshots if you'd like.
I don't even mind having shields because I feel that's a strategy unto its own. And
it is a strategy unto its own. I'm just saying.
I am so much more of a strategy over brute force and machine gun clicking when it comes to gameplay. Like original StarCraft. I loved original StarCraft because it was a 1-hour chess match versus a 7-minute who can click faster and screw up the other's production faster. And so I never got into StarCraft 2 because the style of play had changed, not necessarily the mechanics of play. That
was the style of play for StarCraft 1 too. Just after it went online, it was like
that was after it went online in Korea. What was when it did that. I will say my crowning achievement was beating I got matched up in ranked play. I had an American on my side and we were 2v2 versus 2 Koreans. And I don't say that, xenophobically. I'm just saying we got matched up interregionally with 2 Korean players. My player compatriot brother-in-arms died in like 4 minutes. And so it was me 1v2 2 Koreans. I won that match.
It's like they may as well never even picked up the game.
It's the only time I can ever say that. It's the only
disgrace to their country.
I can't even make the next joke because it was going to be way darker. Anyway, this has been Talking Heads episode 293. Thank you all so much for watching. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. John J says, Zerg Rush? No, I was never a Zerg Rush guy. I was a Protoss Stern Defense guy.
Wow, you struck me as a Terran guy for sure. But
I've done the Terrans. Like, I'm all right with Terrans. I definitely like the nuclear strikes, nuclear launch detector. I'm totally that guy. I'm very much more of a Protoss strong defensive front guy. That was always my play.
Absolutely.
Photon cannons and a crap ton of zealots. Like, that's my wheelhouse. So
there you go.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Rhett, any things going on in the podcast realm, game dev quest, etc., that you want to shout out?
Nothing crazy going on, but you can keep up with updates at rettisawesome.com. You can go to dndpodcast.org to keep up with all of my D&D games. And keep an eye on the Craft Extra channel. Unfortunately, I promised many times that there would be a video by now, but that's just not how life works. So keep an eye up over there, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I dropped my phone.
I know.
Did you hear that?
I did. Totally heard that.
It was embarrassing, but what are you going to do?
It's like, well, I'm done fiddling with that now. Okay.
It didn't go far, but dang it made a loud sound, and that hurt me.
That's right. Anyway. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video. Go buy a pint glass from craftcomputing.store. Help support the channel. Cheers, everyone.